What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Manage by Mom podcast. I'm your host, Antea Marie, and I have another amazing momager to share with you today. Today, I'm speaking with Amber Wingfield. She is the mom of Gabrielle Loftin, who we all know as Gabby's World. Welcome, Amber.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Of course, I know you have a busy schedule amongst your busy kids, so thanks for
Yes.
taking the time to speak with me.
Oh, no, it's my pleasure. Thank you.
Anybody who is into fashion or live in DC, Maryland, or Virginia, or Philly, or proud of New York, or Carolina knows your daughter. Okay.
Yeah.
You have done an amazing job managing her career, and she is only 10 years old. But Gabby has been a household name since she was 3 years old. So you've been doing this thing for 7 years already and counting.
Yes.
Can you
Yeah.
believe that?
I can't. It's going by so fast. And I think because she's been doing it so long, I have to remind myself that she's only 10. So, yeah.
When I met you all, I think Gabby was like either 4 or 5, and you guys came on board at Kids Fashion Week for Gabby to show a collection. And at the time, she was literally the youngest fashion designer in the country
Yeah.
by far. Just to give the world some accolades, Gabby has been featured on billboards. She's shown in like every city in this country, across the country, in LA. I've seen her at the BET Experience during BET Awards weekend. I know right before COVID, you guys were doing Essence Fest. Like, wow.
Yeah. The game network. So she actually started, like you said, she started sewing at 3, and she did her first show at 3, and that was the MS show. And so that was her very first show. It was a local show here in DC. And my sister, who's actually a fashion designer, actually kind of helped her to get into the show. And from there, we sent out an application to DC Fashion Week. And after that, then that's when a lot of people started to reach out to her. And so she's been in LA. Her clothes has been in Paris, Dubai, London. So a lot of different places.
And she's even styled some celebrities.
And so working with Kids Fashion Network, she had the opportunity to style Ashley Darby. And so with that, that was her, well, actually, that was her second celebrity that she styled. So um, she's worked with a lot of different people. I'm sure you're familiar with Cass.
We
Got
love
Cass,
Cass.
his brand. He's been helping with her. House of Balenciago has helped with her. They've been really great mentors for her and just showing her that you can do whatever you want to do. And so, yeah, she's had the opportunity to even style celebrities that are in LA, like um, actors. They reached
Wow.
out to her to make custom outfits. And then, of course, our home celebrities like Eris Aubrey, and Winter. Winter was actually her first client when she was 5 years old. Her first order came in from Winter. And
Wow, I
then
didn't know
Eris was her
that.
second. Yeah. She made a outfit for her movie premiere,
Mhm.
and Eris was about 7, I think. Then
Wow.
she made that one, and Winter was 7 as well. So
I mean, that's just amazing. I mean, I work with kids like Gabby all the time, and it still blows my mind. But to think about someone who doesn't realize that there are children who are successful to the level that Gabby is successful, I mean, I'm sure like they can't even imagine. So, how does someone know? Like, is there a spark in your child? Like, what initiated that for you to know that, okay, I have to take her serious?
with Gabby was doing everything early. She started walking at 7 months. Um, she painted her first picture at 18 months, and I just made sure I fostered that. Gabby's also very vocal. Like she was reading by two. So her articulating what she wanted was easy for her. I just took her serious. I didn't take it as, oh, she's just a kid being a kid.
Mm.
So her saying to me, Mom, I want to sew. Okay, you can sew. Mom, I want to draw. I want to paint. Okay, let's foster that. Let's learn how to do it to the best of your ability. So whenever my kids, not just Gabby, but my other two as well, whenever they tell me it's something that they want to do, I'm like, okay, let's do it. I don't ever want to tell them no, they're too young, because then that will be something that sticks to them, that they feel like they're too young to accomplish something. So um, it wasn't really a spark. It was just me saying, okay, you told me this is what you want to do. I'm going to provide the space for you to do it.
That's amazing. And I will say when I speak to other momagers, it's a similar point that is just like a can-do attitude from the parent, and it just opens up the world to the
Yeah.
kid. So kudos, mom. Great job. And you talk about her sewing, so let's go there because I know that you and your sister had a company where you teach kids how to math through sewing. You want to talk to me about that?
So I actually have a company called Cup and Learning. It started with me tutoring. I actually started it in college. And so a lot of my friends, they weren't able to grasp certain concepts that we were going over. So I just connected it to what they were passionate about. And
Mhm.
because I was a student athlete, kind of connected it to sports. But then when I got once I graduated from college, I then started to write a curriculum called Cup and Me Sewing. And so my sister, she's a seamstress. Again, she's been sewing since she was 11. And so I reached out to her and I was like, hey, this is my idea. I need you because I know nothing about sewing. All I know is math. And so we worked together. We came up with that curriculum and then we started sewing. In the area, sewing was not a thing like how it is now. There weren't really any sewing classes. It's very few fabric stores in DC as well. And so I wanted to bring sewing to kids and also let them explore math through it. And so that's what we did. And Gabby would sit in the class with us. And so from there, she just said, can I get on the sewing machine too? And she was 3 then. I was like, sure, okay, go ahead, but please make sure you are careful. And she actually had an incident where the needle went through her finger. I thought that was going to be the end, but she came back the next day and was ready to sew. So, yeah, with our Me Sewing, we were teaching kids sewing as well as math, and we were showing them how math is in everything. And so from there, that program kind of blossomed, and then I reached out to certain fashion weeks and my sister as well, and we started to really grow a bunch of different designers. So our kids, we taught them how to brand, we taught them how to um, identify what fabric they want to use based off of the garment that they want to make. We taught them how to use the math so that you're not wasting money buying fabric, because fabric can be expensive,
Yeah.
especially if you want good quality. And most kids, they prefer like sequins or that lacy type look, and those are the most expensive fabrics. So we taught them how to budget. We taught them how to plan. We even taught them the part of it by like sketching using the 9 head figures for their croquettes and sketching that way. So yeah, we were doing all of this. Once COVID hit, we scaled down, especially because we had a new addition to my family. So we slowed it down. But it's so nice to see that what my sister and I started and sparked in a lot of the youth in the area is
Mhm.
continuing on with other brands such as like Jamila's company, so
Yeah. Yep.
stitched it out. Yeah.
Yep.
So yeah, and her helping other kids to explore their, young designer self. So
That's awesome. So, is your sewing school still in existence? Are you still doing that?
So right now, Gabby is doing it. She's working with the MPD, District 5, so Ward Five's their outreach unit. She's kind of taking over it by
Mhm.
teaching kids how to sew, and not just sewing, but other art forms. So, crocheting. We just did a crocheting class where she taught them how to crochet hats. But yeah, we've been working with the senior citizens and other kids in Ward 5 and 7 and teaching them how to sew. But as far as our me sewing, the actual program, we did have it in schools such as DC Prep and Friendship, where Gabby goes, her campus, as an enrichment program. So people can buy it as an enrichment program. But as far as my sister and I, having our own building space and doing what we were doing pre COVID, no.
Gotcha. Well, thank you for doing that because I'm sure what you guys started a long, long time ago definitely is why Kids Fashion Week has so many amazing kid designers now. So thank you for pouring into the community in addition to pouring into your own child. So that's commendable.
Thank you.
Now we talked about Gabby being a designer, but Gabby does a lot of stuff. Like she plays basketball, she is an author, she has two books out. You know, I've seen her do so many creative things with her own makeup, and she's just an all-around creative. But I also noticed that your family is the same way. Like you, your sister, your mom, like was that your mom at the book fair the other day with a book too? So with a community of creatives or a family of creatives, do you think that inspired her? Like she watches you guys?
I will say yes and no, only because Gabby is so unfazed about what goes on around her. Like, even when she meets, celebrities, she's just like, Mom, yeah. So I would say yes and no. Um, yes, because it's almost like an innate gift. Um, like I said, she painted her first picture at 18 months, and I'm not talking about, uh, just throwing paint all on the the paper.
You're gonna have to
She,
send me this picture if you still have
I do,
it.
I will. It's of
Okay.
Sophia the First, and so she took the time and painted in the lines and things like that. And so I think it's just innate in her, but fostering it is something that helps it to grow. So seeing my sister as a designer, seeing me, I like to make rugs, so
I
she
didn't know that.
yeah, so she tufts. She does it like hand, like the punch needle tufting, and I have like the actual tufting gun. She wants to use the tufting gun, but I'm particular about my baby, so.
You are so modest, and maybe that's where Gabby gets it from, because she's so modest as well. I feel like if I was making rugs, I would have you would know on Instagram today. Okay, like I've been knowing you guys for like 10 years. I had no idea that I need a rug, and I'm like, where do I shop?
I got you. I got you. I have something that I'm working on now.
You guys are amazing. So, like, let's talk about that balance. And I'm sure I didn't name all of Gabby's accolades. So, what else, other than fashion designing, what other things are you guys working on?
So Gabby, like you said, she loves to create. So she makes soap, she makes candles, she makes makeup. She actually started at 2 with lip gloss and fingernail polish. So before sewing, she was making lip gloss and fingernail polish and selling it to my friends. And I didn't even give her the idea. She was watching Sarah's beauty channel. That's what kind of led to that. And so at 2, that's when she told me this is what I want to do, and then it blossomed from there. Again, she makes rugs, but she makes them by hand using punch needle, that method. She has 9 books. 2 are out and available on Amazon, but 9 are published, and her publishers just
Nine?
wrote, yeah.
What?
Her publisher's rolling them out 1 year at a time so that people can get to grow and know Abby Yo-Yo, which is, Gabby says, is just her. She's just trying to create a space for kids to be creatively themselves. And so that she does basketball. She plays volleyball at her school. She does track. She's an awesome big sister too. Like she's such a big help,
So,
and she
I
loves
can't,
to
is
cook.
she the oldest?
Yes.
Okay. And
So,
you have two younger boys.
she's the only girl too,
Mhm.
so I think that also is her way of keeping sane in the house. We're outnumbered with her dad and her two brothers, just us two. So yeah.
Well, everyone knows Gabby. Like your support system is so strong. Like how important is community for you guys?
Yes, my village. I could not do it without them. I never want any of my kids to feel slighted. So between my husband and his aunt and uncle and my sister and my family, his family, like they really help a whole lot. Making sure that, if I'm out of town with Gabby, then someone's there supporting my son. If I have an event for Gabby where it just has to be her, I have someone to watch, the 2-year-old.
Right.
And they all feel like they are valued and number one as well. So it doesn't feel like, oh, mom's with Gabby, so she's missing my game. We are able to trade and alternate so that everybody feels supported. So
That's awesome. Let's pivot a little and talk about you a little bit. So, I mean, I know, like, especially when you have working kids, like, we get lost in the sauce. Like, I mean, I'm a momager as well, on top of having a kids' company where I pour into everybody else. And then I don't ever want to wake up and say, oh, I didn't do things that I wanted to do. So, do you feel that you have a balance where you can take care of Amber?
I feel like I'm still finding that. Um, for me, honestly, I enjoy being around my kids. Like that's what makes me happy. I haven't had to work for anyone in the last 8 years, so that kind of helps as well. And when I am working for someone, it's more like a contractor, so it creates that space for me to, I guess, have a little of what I want to do. Like when I work for someone, I'm doing what I want to do,
Mhm.
whether it's creating or helping. My passion is helping others. I'm very passionate about helping others, whether it's building what they envision or just pouring into them where they can pour into others. And so like from my tutoring, that makes me happy, like seeing kids grow an appreciation for math and science. So really the balance of just being in my kids' lives is more than enough for me taking care of myself because like that's my happy place.
Right. So do you consider yourself a momager?
No, because Gabby is, I don't want to use the word bossy, but Gabby knows what she wants. Like, I'm more like, the assistant manager. She has her own, like, we
Oh.
have a family calendar.
Mhm.
And she's like, Mom, this isn't on my calendar. I need to make sure you put this on my calendar. So I'm just more like, I'm just enjoying the ride, the show, enjoying the show, enjoying the ride, and being a part of what she's doing and watching her grow. So I don't really consider myself a momager because I don't reach out to anyone unless she asks me to reach out. Or if she's like, this is what I want to do, and I know the steps that it would take to do that and
Mhm.
provide that lane for her. But she is she is she's like, yeah, this is what I want to, like, this year she told me, Mom, I do not want to do a lot of fashion shows. I said,
Except for
okay.
Kids Fashion Week, Gabby.
Yes, except for, she
Okay.
said, except for Kids Fashion Week, except for Indy and DC. So basically the ones that started her, that's the only
Mhm.
ones that she wanted to do.
Mhm.
And so any other ones that she did do, it was because like of her relationship with that person that was the producer of the show. Like for example, Runway for Cure, you know, supporting people that support her. Like
Mhm.
that, it wasn't just like she picked random shows and went out there and did
Right.
them.
Right. So being 10 and already saying, okay, I conquered that, I don't want to do that. what do you see for her in the future? I mean, I know she sees something for herself, but what do you see for her in the
Um, it's hard to say because what I see for her is what she tells me.
future?
Like, it's hard to say because she's been telling me for the last 2 years that she wants her own store. So I see that for her. She wants her store. I see
Wow.
it happening. She has her online store.
Mhm.
So I see her having her own store where she told me what she wants, how the floors are leveled out. Like she created a 3D model. So it's hard to see anything other
She
than what
created
she's
a
telling
model of her store already. Oh, I just
me.
love her. She needs to come get me together.
Yeah, she created a 3D model using foam for like the base of the store. She used modeling clay to make like the racks and the furniture and
Oh my
construction
God.
paper for like the flooring. Like she's obsessed with black and red as far as the color. So she was like her color for the floors and it's still bright even though black and red are like dark colors, it's still bright and her vision for it, it's hard to see anything else other than that.
And she's only 10. Like, I mean, she's going to be 11 soon, but the amount of life left to explore, I
Hmm.
can't wait. Like, I am like, I feel so blessed to know them like when they're so young because I can't wait to see what they come up with later. It's
Yeah.
just mind boggling.
Yeah,
Okay,
it is.
so let's talk about the future then. Like, how do you protect her privacy? Everybody's on social media. One of
Yeah.
the most um, frequent questions that I get from people is, should I get in social media? And I'm like, yeah, if you want your child to work in this business, you need it. But how do you guys go about protecting privacy?
So my husband, he's the one who's more strict on that. He's like, everything doesn't need to go on there. And so that's why if you look at her Instagram, you'll see posts, but we plan out the post. So they roll out in threes. So it might be three in 1 week, but they might come out in the same day and just roll and roll that way. Um, we allow Gabby to manage her social media, but we also follow behind her as well. And so, knowing that you can go on Instagram and see every post that was liked, I'm able to, while she's on her own phone doing her thing, I can see if she commented on anything and things like that. And if I feel that, it kind of takes away from her privacy or whatnot, then I will talk to her and we have that conversation. Um, but that's really, I don't put private on her page because again, you want people to see what she's doing.
Right.
But I filter as well how long she could be on social media, so she has a time limit. Each day she can only spend 2 hours.
She can't have that much time after all the stuff she's doing.
And she doesn't and she doesn't even use, like I said, she doesn't use all her time, but each day she's given 2 hours. But on her phone, like it's not just with the iPhone, it's just in general, not with Instagram, but any type of social media, whether it's, I'm finding out there are other platforms like Roblox is still like a form of social media. I'm
Mhm.
finding out. But
And that thing is scary.
yeah.
Yeah.
And then the other thing, Gabby protects her own privacy. She's very mature for her age. Like she will be like, her favorite word is the ick.
What is the
Yeah, she's
ick?
like, oh mom, that's the ick. I don't need that on my feed. Like she knows how to block things to protect and filter herself as well. And so I
Mhm.
think too, also in instilling good values, as far as her foundation allows her to protect her privacy and me to protect her privacy without being like a helicopter.
Well, I think that's amazing. I mean, Gabby, I thought I was obsessed with Gabby before, but learning all these things, I'm like, Gabby's a genius. Like, she's a pure creative. Like, if you think of what that means, and for you to be able to allow her to explore that, it just gives her the key to do it more and more and more.
Yeah.
You know, I know from working in the industry that there has been criticism like, oh, is she sewing? And I know that she's sewing,
Yeah.
but how do I mean if it was me, I would be ready to slap these people, right? So how do you protect her in that sense or handle like the criticism because it's coming from grown-ups sometimes and from children sometimes. How do you remain so poised that the way
Tell you, it's my faith in God. Like that roots me. So that allows me to treat people with love even if I'm not feeling it.
yeah.
So that's one way that I stay rooted. I've have had my moments. I will not lie. I've had my moments. But the other thing too, like Gabby, she reels me in. Like I don't know, she's like, Mom, we already know I saw it. Don't matter. So I never will voice it in public. Me and
Mhm.
Gabby, we do have discussions. And so, like I will say, but you should make sure that you are recording you sewing that so people will know that you made it. She's like, I don't care what people think or not think. So it kind of is another reality check. So being rooted in my own faith to make sure that I treat people with love, having Gabby remind me it don't matter what other people think. I'm doing what I love. So that, and then too, I do have her make sure that she does create the content so
Right.
people will know like, hey, she's been doing this. So I, you know, having the content to speak for itself also is another way to kind of make sure that you stay poised because you know what she's doing. She knows what she's doing. It doesn't matter what other people think. And then it also allows for other parents that meet her. Like for example, there's another designer, Jalen Rivers. I'm not sure if you're familiar with her, but she's
Mhm.
from New York. And Gabby did a fashion show up there, and that was one of the questions like the mom asked. She was like, "Did Gabby really sew all of these?" And Gabby spoke for herself. Yes, I did. I've been sewing since I was 3, even though I'm 6 now. And then her mom couldn't believe the conversation that she had with a 6-year old. And then from there, the next time we saw them, it was at Atlantic City Fashion Week, and her daughter went from being a model to a designer. And her mom was like, that conversation that she had with Gabby sparked something in my daughter, and now she has her own. So, you know, those little things also too remind us that it doesn't matter what people if they're asking. Sometimes they just don't know. Don't take it as an offensive question. You know,
Mhm.
share, respond with love, and you'll see like that soft answer. It turned away wrath. So
Yeah.
yeah,
That's awesome. And I know Gabby inspires so many children and adults, and she's a pioneer. You guys are a pioneer as a team, and whatever we can do to help make sure that it's recognized, like that's what we want to do because, you're inspiring people and then other people are doing things and you don't want to get lost in the sauce as the first. It's a lot of bravery to be the first. So.
yeah.
Well, that's awesome. So let me ask you this: um, what do you think you're most proud of her for?
I'm most proud of Gabby for being herself.
She totally
Like
is herself too.
she does not care what everyone else is doing. She doesn't care if you're like, hey, this person's doing this, you should do that. Well, I would never suggest it to her, but like if it's suggested to her, she's not going to pivot from who she is, you know. And she evolves and she's okay with evolving. Like she went from wanting to be a teacher that sews to being a doctor that sews to now a dentist that sews. So she's okay with evolving as well and knowing that she's still true to herself. So I'm most proud of her being true to herself and letting other kids know, like, hey, it's cool to be yourself. Even when she was getting bullied last school year, she told me like, Mom, I'm not really she's not really doing anything to make me feel belittled because I know it's coming from a hurt place. Like she is a little bit jealous.
Oh my God.
But it ended up by like at the end of the school year because she didn't, you know, break down one and she didn't she wasn't mean back. It made that girl realize, okay, I need to check myself.
Wow. So does Gabby, is she as much of a creative as she is, does she understand the business side of things as well? Are you guys going over contracts and how to spend money? And you talk about fabric, and does she know
Yeah.
how to break it down and everything? Yeah.
Yeah. So like with my sister and I, our me sewing, that was one of the foundations. So the workbooks that I created, that's part of the curriculum. By the time that they finished the class, they should have been able to, of course, master certain math concepts that were aligned to Common Core standards. But then I created my own standards as far as the sewing aspect so that they can be their own, not just the person that sews, but their own business, by, like you said, knowing how to identify what my price should be so that I can have a certain income, knowing how to uh, budget. That's one of the big things, budgeting. um, Knowing if a show is actually worth doing. If I have to pay a fee and then I buy a fabric, is it something that is going to be a show that produces more shows for you? So more than just money, but on that business aspect of branding. So she understands the business side of it. She has her own, even though it's a Cash App card, it allows her to have her own bank account through Cash App, I can
Yeah.
say.
That's
So she
awesome.
understands checks and balances. If we still wrote checks, she would know how to balance the checkbook, but she knows how to balance that account. She knows when she does her pop-up shops. Before we do pop-up shops, we sit down. So she knows how to use Excel. So she creates her inventory. Um, and we do it together, but she knows how to do it even if I'm not helping her, where she writes down how many things that she has that she's bringing, what's her potential income for it, and then what she actually made so that she could see what was her profit. So she knows how to do all of that.
Amber, you are the GOAT. You need you need to teach a mom class. That is amazing. That is amazing. Like you're giving her all the tools to not just be a successful business owner, but just a successful adult.
Hmm.
The things that they should be teaching us in school, that's
Yeah.
just amazing. Does she go to a creative school, like a performing arts school, or just like a regular school?
She goes to a regular charter school, but with her charter school, they just introduced drama. But she does. I forgot that she acts too.
Mhm.
She was in the Giz,
Oh
but
yeah, I remember that.
art was, she actually was taught like by some of the top DC artists. Like you would never believe a lot of the murals that were created down in Northwest and Northeast, that was actually created by her art teacher pre-COVID. So she had a strong foundation as far as art, even though it wasn't a performing arts school. And then recently, this school year, they just added drama and entrepreneurship as a class elective for the middle school side. So in DC, they start middle school at fifth grade. So
Mhm.
even though she's on the middle school side, she's taking drama now, entrepreneurship, art, along with like the basic Spanish and PE.
Mhm.
So
Okay. Well, that is so amazing. You know, I mean, what I'm feeling like as I talk to more and more moms on this podcast, the key to the successful kids is the mom. And it's not that you're doing anything to make them creative. Like you said, it's not a spark, it's just you're giving them the freedom of expression and supporting them. So
yeah,
go mom, you do.
yeah, you
Uh,
doing it too though.
I know, but it's just that's why I wanted to have a podcast where I spoke to other momagers, because when it's just you always feel like you're on like this island.
Yeah.
Like I'm like it doesn't feel that special until
Mhm.
you speak to people who are also doing it or people who are not doing it. And then you're
Yeah.
like, oh, this is something special
Yeah.
you know. So I know you mentioned Gabby's acting. She acted in The Giz, which is huge. Is
Yeah.
she going to continue acting as well?
Yeah, she is. And Dr. Lavelle Long, he's
Love him.
amazing.
Yeah.
DC Black Broadway, they embraced Gabby and just took her on like she's their little sister. And so everyone that's a part of the DC Black Broadway has made Gabby feel like, okay, even though this was my first show, I love it. I want to be a part of it. And then meeting other kid actors like Donnell and his mom, they were
Did they know
amazing.
each other at Kids Fashion Week? They had to.
Yeah, they've
Yeah.
crossed paths in Fashion Week. I'm sorry, Kids Fashion Week,
Yeah, that's fine.
and so they knew each other. Actually, his sister modeled for her one time when she was like 4. So
Anaya.
yes,
Yeah.
so they kept crossing paths. But as far as like getting to know each other the way they did while they were acting together, that was their first time, and so
That's
yeah.
so does Gabby have a team? Like you said, I know your momager vibes and you feel like the assistant, but do you have a manager, a publicist, an agent, like someone who's actually being proactive for you?
No. I would love to have that so that, I could really just be the transportation.
Right.
Yeah, I would love to have her own publicist, or, someone who's doing those emails, because she actually, you'll be surprised. She writes a lot of the emails. I may edit, but she writes the emails and puts in what she wants. One thing that she is very vocal about is making sure that her voice doesn't get lost. And so, but
And
it would
she's
be nice to
only
have,
10.
yeah, it would be nice to have someone to do that for. If we don't have a team, it's just really her telling me how she wants to move, and then I'm like, okay, let's get in the car and drive. Like,
Yeah, exactly. What a team, you guys will go so far.
yeah,
It, like after hearing what I'm hearing today, I'm like, oh yeah, like you guys but I am excited for Gabby. I mean, Gabby, ever since I met both of you, you guys have been nothing but leading with love. I feel it from you every time I interact with you, even talking to you today and gaining like more insight about who you guys are. Like, I am just so proud of you, and I'm just so happy that our paths have connected. And, you know, anything else that you want to tell the world about you and Gabby as a duo, or just Gabby or yourself?
yeah. So, if you have a child that is creative, you might see it as small as, for example, with Gabby, her homework. She was 3 years old, and they were given a task to like color things, color your sight words a certain color, and she never picked one color. If that's something that they do, like explore that, allow them to be creative. I think a lot of times we kind of box our kids in when we start to use that word no. And not saying that no is not important, because they should understand and respect the no. But as a parent, when it comes to that creativity aspect, when it comes to them growing, provide that space, allow them to do that, and don't take over. It can be easy for you to take over as, I guess, a momager, or as a parent who's helping to navigate your child's career. But don't be the one to take over, because people can see if that child is really doing it because they love it, or if they're doing it because they're being pushed.
Yeah,
And you open a lot of doors when you allow space for them to be themselves, because when they interact with people, they're not afraid to speak and share their light as well when they're talking. So um, that's one thing I want to share, is just provide the space, but don't take over as well. So
powerful. Well, thank you for your time, and we can't wait to see what Gabby is going to show this world because she has a lot of talent.
yes, thank you for having us, and thank you for like being a support for Gabby. What you do is amazing, and you're humble. You said I'm humble. You're very humble about all that you do.
Oh, thank you.
So thank you for, just being a part of Gabby's journey and providing a platform for not just her, but kids in the DMV area. And then also, San Diego, New Orleans, and some other
Yes.
places that y'all work
Yes.
on.
Thank you. Thank you so much. It is my pleasure. I'm so full after this conversation, Amber.